Good morning, everybody. Again, it's super early. I think it's 10 after 4 Alberta time. I know we'll see who logs on, but we're going to get into good talk this morning. I did a good video yesterday, very detailed in colonialism. But now we're going to do a secondary breakdown as more videos come out, narratives that are not correct. And it's important to get those narratives right, or we're never, ever going to be able to move forward. Whose ultimate fault is it? It's absolutely your government's fault. The government gets its own false narrative. They're not lying per se, but they're hiding behind a power of old that doesn't have a place in this world anymore. And that's what we're going to highlight today, because courts are pissed off. People are getting pissed off as they start to wake up. But it's what's real, what isn't. Where does the line of truth come here? And again, it's not to put people down. As I put Kevin J. Johnson in this with his guest yesterday, they did a YouTube video. Thank you, Rusty, for sharing that. We're going to go through it again. Canadian Bill of Rights. It's still in existence. It always will be in existence, because in Canada, we don't erase our history. Even when we do constitutional amendments, there are 5 ways of getting constitutional amendments done in Canada, 2 of which are nearly impossible, but there are 3 where you can get things done. One of those near impossible tasks was done by Peter Lougheed in 1982. As well as the Prime Minister, Pierre Elliott Trudeau. Pierre Elliott Trudeau brought on the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That's what came forward to replace the Bill of Rights. Every province and territory signed on except Quebec. Quebec didn't sign on. The Bill of Rights in Canada only applies to Quebec citizens. Further than that, anyway, there's international treaties. To get Kevin J. Johnson and Kelly back into the circle here, if you want to use the Bill of Rights, it's only if you're a Quebec citizen. If you want to expand on the Bill of Rights and learn what extraordinary powers belong to every human being in this earth, I suggest you go into the United Nations binding world laws, and you will find in Geneva, Vienna, and many overlaps, even in binding issuance of becoming a member state, you sign on to the Charter of the UN. And in there, you're going to find all of it right through the Declaration of Human Rights, which even gives you more powers. Canada's not to act, or any nation on this earth, against those charters unless they want to see their membership revoked. Now, a lot's do. Nobody calls them out, but as a citizen, you can. We have to start learning how to apply ourselves in this world the right way, the legal way, and how the legal system truly works. Because you can't say the Bill of Rights belongs to every Canadian. It doesn't. It only belongs to Quebec, because Quebec didn't sign on to the Charter in 1982, the only province. So unless you're in the jurisdiction of Quebec, you are under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That's how every judge is going to treat you. Every single judge in Canada. That's how they're trained. There's no other difference, except for they may be able to comparatively look at international binding treaties, which some do. Ruth Ginsburg in the United States did this. However, again, we go back to Governor General and Lieutenant Governor Generals of every province and territory. Should a judge take a case and wish to set a precedent on the Charter of Rights, or in the province of Quebec, the Bill of Rights, guess what? The Governor General of Canada, if it's a federal matter, or in that province through Lieutenant Governor, can absolutely override the judge making the decision. They can say, you'll not hear this case, or you can hear this case, but you will not provide any remedy. It's outside of your jurisdiction. I can show you case after case after case after case where this exists. Quebec runs more in the civil law, whereas the rest of Canada is more in the common law. Up until you reach the point of your highest level of courts, and then you're absolutely in a civil law autocracy. Go find a judge to come forward on this. You can't, because as most lawyers and almost all judges ascended have sworn an oath to that crown power, which is an oath to Prime Minister. They've already given it up. Most lawyers, by the time they got their bar, most lawyers definitely give it up when they want to ascend to judgeship. That's it. That's jurisprudence right here in Canada. That's how it works. I hope this was informative on that issue. I know there's something in my title I was going to talk about beyond that, and now I've forgotten. I went on the runaway on that. There was something else in the title that was important to hit, and then I'll be kicking myself. Wonder if there's a way to look at that. It doesn't look like it. Any of you guys watching? I see there's 4 right now. I know it's super early. Jared, what's in my title? What was the second point beyond Kevin J. Johnson and Kelly on the Bill of Rights versus the Charter of Rights and Freedoms? Can you look at the second section? Any of you I see people liking, come on, type it in there. Tell me what I'm missing, because the second part's important too. I hate to do this in the middle of the video, but yeah, I guess I'm having too much righty. I've been writing for 2 days straight, and I got another half a day of that today, and then a course. But come on, somebody type in there. Tell me what I missed in my title heading there. It's a very important point. Now I'm trying to rack my brain. I don't want to sit here. Let's see if that... What are you looking for? Well, I'm looking for what was my second point underneath Kevin J. Johnson and Kelly. What was my second point? What was I going to talk about? It's important. I'm sure I wrote something in there. Never leave a video unfinished. I gotta rely on you, Jared, or I gotta shut the video down. You're my only hope, my friend. There's no way to bring the title back. I can't believe I forgot the heading. Somebody, please, anybody. As everyone leaves, see? Now everybody's saying, well, that's it. Maybe that's all there was. Probably not. But, oh, wait, what's this? Facts Matter, Canada's Bill of Rights for Quebec. Oh, there it is. This is important. Businesses are provincial jurisdiction and a civil right. Thank you, Jared. I owe you big time. This is important, everybody. Sucks we're going to have that break in the video, but civil rights are not represented federally in a charter or for the province of Quebec, the Bill of Rights. Okay? Civil rights are found in Section 92. They're absolutely all given to each and every province to do as they wish and they say. That's businesses, all domestic businesses. You can have 2 types of businesses in Canada. You can register federally because you want to cross border and get into cross-border trade outside of your country. You can do that. But the majority of businesses in Canada don't do that, and they register provincially, or even with the provincial registry, they still do cross-border. You don't have to go federally to do that. This is generally for major overseas shipping, things of that nature, or getting things manufactured or made somewhere else and then ordering them in. People make their decisions. But ultimately, the rights enshrined in owning a business, administering a business, belongs to provincial governments. It's laid out clearly in Section 92. The absolute problem here, for this, especially for people who are into the anti-mask and they give it to the business owners. The provincial governments can administer all kinds of administrative penalty on business including revoke licenses, revoke their property, especially in a lease situation. There are many, many things the province can do. Because why, everybody? Because we don't have codified big C constitutions for the provinces in Canada. Unlike all our neighbors around us, we haven't done that since 1867. There's no enshrined law. Any government elect can come along and draft any new acts, replacing all kinds of old acts or creating new ones that absolutely change all of your civil rights. Business is a civil right. There are so many civil rights. Most Canadians don't know just how long that list is. 2/3 of the rights that you don't have and you may or may not know about, or you have, but generally are governed by harsh treatment or harsh levels of rules and stages you got to go through, costing you a lot of money. Your property rights are found here. It goes on and on and on. Or an absolute autocratic presentation by every incoming government. They can change it provincially in Canada at will. We have zero rules of how a politician is to look at civil rights. They can be taken away or given as each politician sees fit. It is really wrong when we get into anti-maskers mad at businesses following the Health Act, because realistically 90% of the businesses you're dealing with, everybody, are subject to absolute autocracy. Gun rights owners go through this. We can go through a whole slew, all the way through even into some of the civil rights of common law partnerships. Why marriage and common law partnerships are different. One's federal, one's provincial. That's reality. There's so much to go through and share with people, but learn civil rights, because do not look to any federal legislation to help you out in this area. It's all in the provinces, and the provinces, zero codification of any constitution whatsoever in any province in Canada entirely. If we were all countries like the UK and we all had UN status, this wouldn't be an issue, because your property rights would be protected in international law. But when you're a region or a city, you don't get those protections. Your country does, and your country holds that federally and can administer that depending on your federal constitution. But provincially, they can do all kinds of abuses. And in a colonial system like Canada, with lieutenant governor going back to prime minister, they can strip you of so many more rights that countries like Russia, UK, USA could never ever do in a million years and would never even think of. And little do they all know that Canada operates this autocratically against so many what could be classified in overlap as human rights abuses. Look at First Nations and how they're forced to live on reserves. You won't see that anywhere else in the world. That's all been ended. It's only Canada that embraces, fosters, and nourishes this grand oppression. Just as it's only in Canada where you see people coming after and stealing your civil rights whenever they want. UK overlaps some too. But that's the problem with the constitutional monarchy. That's the problem with an absolute small c system in constitutionalism. When you're uncodified, meaning there are no groundwork rules. The politicians decides. And unfortunately in Canada, they decide with an absolute autocratic crown power handed over from colonialism, never diminished, only strengthened and pushed forward from 1948 to today, and they still do it. Wake up, Canadians. Share, share, share. Sorry about the middle blurb there, but it was important to get that point. Have a great day, everybody. Bye now.